Gorgias, day 24. Caligula's. It seems to me, I know not how, that you are right, Socrates. But I feel as the many do, I am not quite convinced by you. Socrates. That is because the love of Demos dwells in your soul. So the love of the people, the nation, I think. And resist me. But if perchance we investigate these same problems better, you will be persuaded. Remember at least that we said there were two processes that aim in each case at tending body and soul. One that makes pleasures the end of its association, the other, what is best, this latter not indulging in pleasures, but battling against it. Are not these the distinctions we made at the time? So, I do find it very ironic how Socrates are convinced that he can persuade people. Socrates, who is, I'm quite sure somewhere I read in this, quite negative about the art of persuasion. Calicles. Oh, I'm not going to say the second thing. Certainly. Socrates. Now the one of these that aims at pleasure is ignoble and just nothing but flattery. Is it not so? So be it if you wish. But the aim of the other is that what we tend, whether it happen to be the body or soul. Something weird just happened, but it's okay. I lost my place. Shall be as perfect as possible. Certainly. Should we not then take in hand the tending of the city and its citizens with the aim of making the citizens themselves as good as possible? For as we discovered previously, without this there is no use in rendering any other kind of kindly service, unless, that is to say, the thoughts of those who are to obtain much money and sovereignty or any other power whatever are good and noble. Are we to say my view is right? Calicles. Certainly, if it pleases you. Socrates. If then, when we contemplated some public undertaking for the state, we were to enlist each other's aid in a task of building, the construction perhaps of important buildings such as walls or dockyards or temples, ought we not to look to ourselves and examine ourselves to discover first of all whether or not we are expert in the art of building, and from whom we learned it? Ought we to or not? Good point. If you're gonna build something, there's a parable in the Bible. Before you start building, go make sure that you have what it takes, so that you don't get halfway and then you don't have money anymore. And then you have to stop and people laugh at you. I'm not sure that I have what it takes for this life, quite honest. It's pretty demanding, actually. And I'm tired. Alone. Certainly, Calicles says. Socrates. And then again, secondly, whether we have ever erected a building previously for one of our friends or for ourselves. and whether this building is beautiful or ugly, and if on review we discovered that we had good and distinguished teachers, and that with these teachers we had erected many fine buildings, and then also many of our own account when we had finished with our teachers. Well, if it's about the teacher, then if this were our position, we might, as sensible men, aspire to public works. But if we had no master to point to, and either no buildings whatever, or many worthless ones, then it would surely be folly to undertake public works and to invite each other thereto. Shall we admit that this is true or not? Clean your own room first. Oh, the poor man is so Platonic / Neoplatonic, but he keeps thinking that he's a Christian. That's the problem. People are so desperate for certainty that they cling to the seen traditions. Much more easily. I guess there is more certainty in seen traditions, well-known traditions. But there's not necessarily truth in them. So too in every other case, if, for example, we had aspired to public practice and encouraged each other thereto as competent physicians, we would surely have made mutual investigation of each other, and you would have asked, let me see, in heaven's name, how about Socrates himself in the matter of bodily health? Or has anybody else, slave or free, ever been cured of sickness by Socrates? And I too, I fancy, should have made the same inquiries about you. And if we could find no one, whether citizen or stranger, man or woman, whose bodily health has been improved by our means, then surely, Callicles, it would be ridiculous for anyone, before practicing in private, often with indifferent results, and often with success, and achieving sufficient experience in the profession, to begin, as the saying goes, his apprenticeship in pottery upon a large vessel, to aspire himself to public practice and encourage others to do the same. Do you not consider such behavior folly? This is very good. I do. And now, my best of friends, since you are just beginning to enter public life, and invite me also and reproach me for not doing so, shall we not examine each other and ask, come now, has Callicles ever yet improved any of the citizens? Is there any man who previously was evil, unjust, undisciplined, and senseless, and through Callicles has become an upright and worthy man, be he stranger or citizen, slave or free? Tell me, if any one should examine you on these points, Callicles, what will you say? What man will you claim to have improved by your company? Do not hesitate, before you aspire to a public career, to answer if you can point to any such achievements of yours as a private citizen. This is so good. You are contentious, Socrates. It is not contentiousness that makes me ask, but a true desire to know what you consider the right standard of public life in our city. Or when you embark upon a public career, pray will you concern yourself with anything else than how we citizens can be made as good as possible? Have we not many times already agreed that this should be the task of a statesman? Have we acknowledged it or not? Answer me. We have. I shall answer on your behalf. If then the good man ought to contrive this for his own city, carry your mind back to those men of whom you spoke a little earlier, and tell me whether you still think they proved themselves good citizens. Pericles and Simon and Miltiades and Themistocles. Pythagoras comes to mind. I do. Then if you were good, obviously each of them made better citizens of those who were worse before. Did he do this or not? Is it the duty of a statesman to make people good? Is that not the duty of a philosopher or a teacher or a psychologist? So Callicles said, yes, Socrates. So when Pericles began to speak before the people, the Athenians were worse than when he spoke for the last time. Perhaps. There can be no perhaps about it, my good friend. It must be so from what we have admitted, if he was really a good citizen. Well, what then? Nothing, but tell me next whether the Athenians are said to have been improved by means of Pericles, or quite the contrary, to have been corrupted by him. For I am told that Pericles made the Athenians idle and cowardly, and talkative and covetous, because he was the first to establish pay for service amongst them. You hear the Socrates from the gentleman with battered ears. Well, this at least is not a matter of hearsay, but you know it as well as I do that Pericles enjoyed a good reputation at first and was never convicted on any disgraceful charge by the Athenians when they were worse. But when he had made good and worthy citizens of them at the end of his life, he was convicted of theft by them and narrowly escaped a death sentence, obviously because they held him an evil man. Let's not jump to conclusions, Socrates. Obviously, people are condemned to death by the whipple away because they are evil men. Well, what about it? Gorgias asked. Does that make Pericles a villain? Socrates. At any rate, one who tended asses or horses or cattle would be considered bad if he showed a similar character. If when he assumed charge they did not kick or butt or bite him, but he made them wild enough to do all these things. Good point. Or do you not consider any man a poor trainer of any animal, whatever, if they are tame, when he takes them over, but he makes them wilder than when he assumed charge? Do you agree or not? Well, if it is someone who wants to instigate a revolution, I guess that is the way to go. Callicles, certainly, to please you. Then please me still further by answering this. Is a man a member of the animal kingdom or not? Of course he is. And was it not men of whom Pericles assumed charge? Yes. Then ought he not, as we agreed just now, to have made them more just, rather than more unjust, if indeed he was a good statesman when he was in charge of them? Certainly. Now just men are gentle according to Homer, but what do you say? Is it not so? I think people who receive justice, who live in a just society, are calmer. If I look at, well, the citizens of the Netherlands compared to citizens of where I'm from, knowing that you have security, it's like, could make you soft, but it most definitely makes you calmer and less aggressive and less. It hushes that survival instinct to fight for your life. So I think a just state actually makes people calmer, gentler. Just states make people gentler, and not just men. Being just is not what makes them gentle, but receiving justice. And in that sense, yes, it is the duty of the statesman to make people calm. If people feel their needs are met, they don't have to fight for it. So that's my 2 cents. I almost said happy birthday. Have a good day.